have a lot of books that are just gathering dust on your bookshelf and you promise yourself that one day you'll get around to reading them, but you never do? Balancing a life, career, and a love for reading can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially after a long day of work and all you want to do is relax and sit on the couch. But reading doesn't have to feel like a chore. In fact, with these 4 tips that I'm going to share with you today, reading can become a relaxing part of your daily routine. I'm Nicole, an occupational therapy practitioner, and on this channel, I share tips on how to live a healthier, happier, and more intentional life. Tip number 1, pick books that spark your curiosity. How many times have you bought a book just because it was on the bestsellers list or somebody recommended it to you and said it changed their life without really pausing to consider if it was something that resonates with you? That's not to say that that book isn't any good, but you need to pick books that you're genuinely curious about if you want to make this whole reading thing stick. When you're genuinely curious about something, you're more likely to pick it up, retain the information, and be engaged longer than in something you're not as curious about. Tip number 2 is to mix things up. Instead of sticking to one book at a time, experiment with keeping a rotation of books on different topics to keep things more interesting. Some people might prefer to just read one book at a time, but I personally like having options. This method can be especially helpful if you're the type of person who tends to get bored with just one thing. For even more variety, you can experiment with different formats as well. I personally love physical books, but it's not always practical to carry really heavy books around all day. So that's where my Kindle comes in, and I love it because it's so portable and lightweight and it holds a ton of books. I've also been really liking audiobooks because they're just so easy to put on, especially when I'm commuting to work in the mornings, when I'm running my errands, or when I'm doing chores around the house. I love to use Libby because it's a free library app and you can download tons of ebooks and audiobooks and you don't have to spend any money at all. So mix it up and find out what works best for you depending on the situation. Number 3 is to create a system. While I'm all for goals, I find that sticking to my systems helps me get through my reading list. So instead of setting a goal to read 12 books by the end of the year, I set up a system instead. I commit to reading at least 10 minutes every night before bed as part of my wind down routine. By breaking it up into smaller steps, it just makes things a lot more manageable and easy to stick to. I track everything in my reading journal, but if you're interested, I also created a free downloadable where you can track all of the books that you're reading as well as a daily tracker, and it's in my description box down below and it's completely free. Tip number 4 is to create a cozy reading nook if you want to read more and make it easy and enticing by transforming your space. I learned this lesson when I was teaching early intervention for kids with disabilities and noticed that nobody was going to the reading center. The reading center was bland, boring, there were only a couple of books there and nowhere to sit, so I decided to fundraise some money and I bought some books, a seating area, and a nice little rug, and pretty soon all the little bookworms were flocking to the bookshelves and it was just really heartwarming to see them immersed in the magic of reading. To create your own reading nook, toss in your favorite plants, a comfy rug, comfy seating, lamps, whatever it is that's going to keep you excited to dive into your next read. And a bonus tip is to consider joining a book club or a book subscription service. Joining a book club can help you meet new people, stay connected with others, and help you feel more motivated to read those books so that you don't miss out. And if you just started reading again and you're not really sure where to start, you can try a book subscription service. I've been using Book of the Month that has tons of options if you're interested in fiction. And I'm not sponsored or anything, but I have been using it for the past 3 months and I've really liked the selection so far. Every month they handpick a new list of books that you can choose from, and if none of those books are interesting, you can always skip the month without getting charged. I really like contemporary fiction and historical fiction, so there's been plenty of options for me, but before you sign up, you can always browse their website to see if you're interested in any of the titles that they have to offer. If you do decide to sign up, I have a code down below where you can get your first book for $5, but just keep in mind that you will need to pay full price for the next month before you can cancel. And if you do decide to use my code, I don't get paid for it, but I will get a free book credit where I can get a new book. So if you do use my code, I just want to thank you in advance. And those are the tips I have for you today to help you read more books, books. And if you found any of these tips helpful, please like, comment, and consider subscribing because it would really help me out as a content creator. I appreciate all of your support, and I hope you guys take care of yourselves because you deserve it.